Another edition of Wings Weekly starts now. Jake Line Connect here, and of course, head coach Steve Jennings. Coach, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the weekend and everything, it's kind of a big day for you. Happy anniversary to you and Chris, your 30th wedding anniversary. That takes some tenacity.
A little bit, a little patience. One of us is really understanding and very supportive.
And which one? I bet it's not one that's sitting near me. All right. Well, anyway, you improved to 4-4 over the weekend there. Despite some penalty trouble, really a strong weekend for you guys. A 5-1 win Friday, 6-3 on Saturday. Road wins are not easy to come by, especially to sweep a team in their building. You knew they were going to come back Saturday with all kinds of energy and jump and jam, and they had it. They get started with a goal 53 seconds in. I don't want to jump into Saturday before we get too far along here, but there were a couple of keys I kind of thought about over the weekend. One of them was balance. You had scoring from different lines. You had D-men that jumped in offensively and got on the score sheet. You're getting production from a lot of different people. That feels like it was pretty important on the weekend. Yeah,
for sure. That level, I think our puck possession was better across the weekend as well, right? We played more with it. We were able to involve more guys into it, and definitely had people putting into work what we worked on in practice, which was great.
Well, it's more than one person actually said that it looked like a different team. And you just mentioned the week of practice. What do you think the major difference was? What was the, I don't want to say flip-flop, but looking at last week's games here at the ODI Center versus there at the MAC, there was a pretty marked difference. What would you say the difference was?
I think some of it is, we get some feedback from the guys on how they're hearing what we're teaching, and maybe if they're overemphasizing a point of our teaching that we want to scale back on. I think we were able to get some good clarity from the guys so that we could help them understand a little bit more. Like when we talk about moving the puck forward, we don't always mean throwing it away and having to go back and get it. So I think that was good. We were able to reinforce that with what we talked about in practice and then put it into work. And then Friday and Saturday night, we saw a lot more of that. So I think honestly, some of that's about the group kind of coming in and getting to work, and then the leadership on the group coming in saying, can we get a little bit of clarity here as well? I think maybe some guys are misinterpreting what we're trying to do.
Okay. Well, and that actually leads in pretty well to my next question, which is, and I've asked different coaches at different times these kinds of things before, but it popped up again on Saturday when I was watching some college football, where coaches will sometimes talk about overcoaching a certain player, or maybe even kind of overdoing a message at times. Is that something that you can tell by the individual, or is it? You know what I mean by that? If that's
for some of those guys, I mean certainly there are people that as you start to understand the group, you get the dynamic. This kid, you don't need to say more than 3 words to a night, and that's probably going to be okay. And others need a lot more reinforcement. So part of the early stages with the team is understanding the personalities of the individuals as well as the personality of the team, right? And then helping that to balance what we're after here, right? And so we've, as long as we feel like we've been here for a long time, we're barely over a month together, right? So it's good learning time. We've made some changes there, and I think the buy-in with the group on adapting to what we want has been good and getting better by the week.
All right, another one of the keys from the weekend, and Coach Stepan and I actually talked about this a little bit too. But adversity, the way that these guys seem to be resilient and being down 2-0 early on in a game, and you could see St. Cloud picking up, some headway or some steam, if you will, and you guys, stuck with it and kind of turned things their way. They get on the board, and then another one, and then now it's 2-2, and you go into the locker room, a whole new game, and you almost had to feel that St. Cloud went into their locker room feeling a little dejected, a little disappointed after starting as strong as they did. What makes a team resilient like that? Is it all about personality? Is it character? What is it? Is it something you can teach to be able to respond?
Yeah, this is the whole discussion of, is leadership natural, or can you teach somebody to be a good leader, right? It's both. Mm-hmm. And I think again, the same thing with resilience. You can teach that, but the teaching comes through the hard, right? The fun of it is the hard.
Yeah.
And So I think for the group, they start to see some of that. We do a lot in practice to try to teach some of this stuff and drive, compete. And that's one of the things that when we talk to the players and even guys we're recruiting when they come in for visits, right? That's one of the things that people talk about is the practices here are a little bit different. There's a lot more focus on compete and trying to drive some of that up. It's not the only thing we do, but we try to include that in pretty much everything we do so that they learn to have that resilience. And we try to make practice hard. And there are times when we try to make it like a failure-based drill and then tell them we want you to succeed, right? And that's how you kind of instill that will into the guys, because resilience and will are in the same family, right? So it's all about whether you actually want to find a way. And some of it honestly is I think our older guys started on when that game was we got rattled, right? And when the guys were getting rattled, there was a good voice on the bench calming people down and redirecting the focus, which is good too.
Yeah. What's the line in the movie, A League of Their Own? It's supposed to be hard. The hard's what makes it great, or something to that effect?
Yeah, I have that clip. I'll send it to you.
Yeah? I ask you this on a fairly regular basis in pregame interviews and so on, but I got to ask you, on a weekend like that, granted, again, the penalties are something that you're continuing to work on and is going to be an ongoing battle. But how do I put that? What was your favorite thing about the weekend? What did you see that you went, wow, we really did that well?
I thought our forecheck was better. I thought we really did a lot. And the big part of that part was I felt like we weren't chasing the puck.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So I think our possession game was better. I was really happy with that side of things because we possessed pucks more. And then the other side is our offensive production was up, but our offensive production was up because guys were actually doing the little things away from the puck to get the puck and then get it, to the net. So
right.
Really happy with that part.
Okay. And on the flip side of that, what did you look at over the weekend? Maybe even after seeing some film or whatever, and you kind of go, you know what? That part of it, we need to continue to improve on, or something that maybe you weren't particularly happy with.
Yeah, I think our puck support coming through the neutral zone. There are times when we can be a little bit better with that. So we'll continue to focus on that. Penalties for sure. We want to continue to reduce that. Now, our trend is moving in the right direction, but we need to stop making life a little bit hard on ourselves, right? Because that's what it all boils down to, right? And kind of changes the dynamic on the bench on who's playing and how we get going. So I just really want to continue to make improvements in that area.
Goaltending was strong once again. Colmore did a great job, a really strong job on Friday night. Saturday night, I thought so too, again, giving a goal up early on. That was a weird goal, though. I mean, where I could almost feel like he was thinking, do I go out after that? Do I stay home? The guy's coming, the puck's kind of in between the two. It was just kind of a weird situation there. But again, with resilience, he stayed in there and played really well and made, again, like I always say, not always say, but made key saves and key moments.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why he's a committed kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that's what you need from your goalie, right? So we'd love to say, you'll face 15 shots and none of them will be hard, but that's not possible. So we want all of our guys to be performers at the time they need to perform, and that's a position that's specifically designed around some really tough moments in the game, and I thought he did a great job with it. And then, the penalty shot saves he had were outstanding as well. I was really happy with that.
Well, and the reason I even brought that up was because, like you said, making life a little harder, makes it even that much more harder on a guy like like your goaltender. And again, with 2 penalty shots coming up big, which really deflated the building, deflated their bench. You could just feel They had some scratch players sitting up by me, and you could just hear the moans and groans. And I was like, yeah, that's good. We've got North Iowa coming up. North Iowa right now sitting at the top of the division with 12 points. Austin is in second with 11, and St. Cloud with 9 points. The Wings in fourth with 8 points. Minot sitting with 8 points as well, and then Bismarck at the bottom of the division with 7 points. You've got North Iowa, like I mentioned, here in the ODI Center coming up this weekend. They swept Austin over the weekend. This is a team historically that you guys have had a fair amount of success against, and of course, obviously a different team. But what do you know about North Iowa?
I think similar structure to what they had last year. I think they're having success, which is great. I think that's a team that's going to come in. They're feeling good with where they're at. They've had some success, so they're going to come in on a roll. And we need to stand up and take control of our own building.
So, are there any? How do I put this? Because I know you're going to say no. You're not going to tell me what the keys are. But what is there? Is there something?
Yeah, I think again, let's reduce penalty count so that we don't put them on the power play.
Things. Okay.
Puck possession. Certainly, we want to continue to work on that and possess the puck more and control the puck more, because that certainly helps us. And I know, they'll want to transition us quickly, so we have to be ready to play the transition game here this week. Okay.
Final question here. I got to thinking about this a little bit as I kind of looked around the MAC there in St. Cloud, during warm-ups and stuff. It's a pretty quiet building. They've got a fan base certainly, and they're building something over there, and hats off to them for that. They continue to improve in that regard. But it's a different feel than what it is to be in the ODI Center with the cowbells ringing and the screaming and the lights and it. And I got to thinking a little bit about what that's like, what the difference is like from a player's mentality. Do you think it's at all possible for these players, especially early on, to be a little overwhelmed by playing at home and being a little overexcited?
I mean, so I won't say overwhelmed. I think it's maybe possible to get too amped up a little bit, but I don't think that's really a factor for us here. I think it's funny, you could hear some of the guys saying this is the rink, you need to bring your own energy because you're not getting the booster from the stands, right? And
which is the case anywhere on the road, really.
Correct. Yeah. So I thought that was really good leadership from some of our guys, helping the younger guys to understand what you just went through last week is probably not what you're going to see here this week. And so I don't think. The crowd here does so much for the team in terms of providing energy and giving a lift at times and supporting the kids. I don't think it's ever a thing where it's too much.
Yeah. Okay. So, just something that occurred to me in talking with some of our guys, and then, like I said, kind of looking around and just listening to what as the game went along. Something kind of occurred to me. All right, Coach. Congratulations on a sweep this weekend, and as always, thank you for joining us here on Wings Weekly. Appreciate your time, and best of luck against North Iowa.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks. We'll continue with the second portion of Wings Weekly coming up after this.
We raise the bar on bar food with sandwiches, tenders, and there's more where this came from. To the greatest of all time.
Second portion of Wings Weekly continues, and as usual, a player is joining me, and this time it is Landon Parker of East Grand Forks, Minnesota. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy day to join us here on Wings Weekly. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
You bet. You're one of the most recent additions to the Wings locker room. A bit of a journeyman. You've been around in the BCHL, the USHL, and previously with a couple games with the Wilderness and the Null. What was your first impression of the Wings? And it always interests me because it can't be easy to be coming into a locker room where guys already have been playing together, they know each other a little bit, and kind of to get dropped into that situation. What was that like?
It was honestly, the guys made it really easy on me. They were so good with welcoming me, and the coaches were really good at introducing me to everything and introducing me to the systems and stuff. And I was put in with a great billet house and a great roommate. So it's honestly been very smooth. And I've had kind of a past. I've known about Aberdeen, just kind of talking to other people, and I've heard only great things about the organization. So when I heard I was coming here, I was really pumped. So, and it's been everything I've expected so far. So It's been awesome.
Great to hear that. I suppose it kind of helps too that two other guys coming in at the same time. And it is still fairly early in the season. Like Coach and I were just talking about. Group's really only been together about a month and some change. Be a little different maybe coming in February or something. January, whatever. Anyway, we continue on. I mentioned USHL, BCHL. Previously with the Wilderness. What is it? Would you say some of the major differences, like in playing in the BCHL or the U show versus playing here in the Null? What is there a different style of play or anything like that?
I think it's all kind of similar at the end of the day. I mean, you play a lot of guys at the same skill set. I think every league kind of has their top guys, and then there's also a lot of depth in all these leagues. So there hasn't been too much of a difference. I know I was a little bit younger and I was playing in the USHL, and those games I think were definitely fast paced, and then I went over to the BCHL, and I think that was kind of similar. It's a really fast moving game, and I think that honestly the structure part of it and all that stuff has been very similar. And then the null, I mean, it's very fast, and the structure and stuff is actually kind of similar to what I'm used to over in the BCHL. So that adjustment was actually pretty easy.
Okay, I've often heard that the null can be a little more gritty, a little more physical than what the USHL might be, but I don't know that that's necessarily the case anymore. I feel like the game has evolved a little bit. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the null kind of has that rap on being a grittier, a lot more fights and stuff. But honestly, especially in the division we're in, there's so much skill and so many top-end players that I haven't really noticed that as much. Obviously, guys finish hits, and I mean, that's just part of the game. But when it comes to being super gritty and stuff, I don't think it's been that much of a difference.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I honestly feel like maybe 8-9 years ago it might have been a little different, but I think it has changed a little. For sure. Your family, tell us a little bit about your influences and how you got started in hockey and in your family life.
Yeah, so my dad and all three of his brothers all played hockey growing up.
Okay.
My dad played after high school, not a community college, but just a 2-year college, played there. And then, but he really introduced me to hockey. I was actually very fortunate. I grew up in a house where my neighbor, he was a couple years older than me, he had an outdoor rink, so my dad got me on skates pretty early there, so that's kind of how I got onto the ice. But I think my dad has just been the biggest influence when it comes to hockey. Just doing really everything to give me the chance to play the game, getting the hockey nets to shoot on and shooting pucks, and he pretty much taught me all that stuff. So he was definitely the biggest influence when it came to that.
Okay. How about support system? You got any sisters or brothers or anybody like that at home? Obviously, hockey moms are a huge part.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, my mom does everything. She brought me to early practices late at night too, picked me up from the outdoor rink. So she was huge. And then I have a younger sister. She's 2 years younger than me. She's in high school still, but she didn't play hockey. But she's a good athlete as well, or was growing up.
Excellent. When did you start, as far as positions? Usually early on, coaches move guys around. They're going to play some defense. They're going to be a wing. They're going to be center. Maybe even try your hand at goalie at some point. When did you become a center?
Honestly, from a really early age. My dad was a center, so
okay.
I actually remember just in my garage before my first, I think it was Peanuts or Mites or something, my first game. In the garage, he was showing me some tips on faceoffs, and really ever since then, it's something I've really taken pride in. And really ever since then, I've kind of been in the middle position, and I can play wing, but definitely the center position is where I'm most comfortable and take a lot of pride in the faceoff dot.
Well, that is a great transition to my next question, because I mentioned it to Coach. I mean, your first game, I could tell that there was a definite improvement as a team as a whole at the dot. What makes a faceoff specialist? What makes a centerman good at winning faceoffs?
I think it's honestly not just a centerman. I think it's all 5 guys on the ice. I think everybody has to be on the same page before you take the faceoff. And I think the biggest thing is just kind of reading what the other center is doing, and also just kind of owning that dot and going in with the mindset that you're going to win every faceoff. I mean, you got to take it one faceoff at a time, but I mean, it's something that all of us centermen put a lot of time into. But I mean, when you get this old, I mean, you got to do little things that are going to separate you if you're going to be winning faceoffs consistently. I
think that to the casual hockey fan, I don't think many people would understand what you meant by it takes all 5 guys to win a faceoff, because there are plays that are designed certain ways to win the puck back or whatever that I don't think everybody realizes. I think people, when they're watching, they just see the jousting of sticks and who ends up with it.
No, yeah, for sure.
But there's more to it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what game you're talking about, that first game, and I know probably 5 of those 20 draws I took, half of them went over to my winger, and he's the one who had a strong stick and got the puck back to the D. So I mean, something little like that, if he's not ready, that goes over to Bismarck's tape, and we don't get the win. So I mean, just kind of example like that just proves that it's not just the centerman. I mean, wingers do a lot on that too, and even defense.
Without a doubt. Okay. Let's see. I was just talking with Coach a little bit about the atmosphere here at the ODI Center, and you had an opportunity early on, right, to play here at the ODI, and got a chance to see roughly 1,300 people. Yeah. We can push that to 1,500, 1,600 sometimes, but usually I'd say that's a pretty good average. What were your first impressions of the home games?
It was clear right away how passionate the fans are here. It was awesome. Even when we're just running around for off-ice warm-ups, they're all there early, giving us knucks, giving us good lucks. And it was really cool that I was able to be here for the home opener because it was really clear how passionate they are. And it sucked we couldn't get a couple wins, but even when we're scoring goals, it's clear that they just have a lot of energy, and we really just feed off of that. And it was just clear to me right away how important they are to this team, so it was cool.
Well, and that kind of leads me to something else, which goes back again to the USHL, BCHL, Wilderness, whatever, different teams that you've played for. Have you seen an atmosphere like that?
I don't think in this scenario, like here it's a smaller town, and I mean, you could say a smaller rink, but they just fill it up so much that it ends up being so loud and electric that I really haven't. It kind of reminded me of high school hockey when you're playing in a smaller rink and there's so many passionate fans, and I think that's kind of what I can compare it to, but it's really just so fun having that atmosphere in here. It's something that I know talking to other teammates and stuff around different leagues that they haven't really had the chance to experience the way that we have here. So I'm very fortunate here in Aberdeen to have a fan base like this.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned it's like almost like high school hockey, like Minnesota high school hockey.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like that everywhere. Let's see. What do you do? What do you like to do when you're not here? When you're not at the rink? When you're not in the locker room? Do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I love to golf.
Okay.
Big time in the summer. I like to golf. I like to kind of just hang around with my teammates, and if we're not at the rink, hanging out with the guys, maybe, like I said, golf, ping pong, really anything. Go to a movie, watch a movie at somebody's house, all those things. Just as long as I'm with the team and stuff, I enjoy that.
Sure. Okay. We've got holidays, a season that's coming up. I mean, here we are in October. Next thing you know, it's Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and on. What would you say your favorite holiday is?
Oh, probably Christmas. I love Christmas time. I don't know, a lot of presents, seeing family and stuff, and then also just reminds me of like the outdoor rink. You get a couple of days off of practice, get to go have some fun and loosen up on the outdoor rink. I always enjoy doing that. Okay,
great. Well, I was going to ask why, but that was a perfect example. A lot of the memories I would imagine too, of growing up and, like you said, going out and with your friends and playing out on the outside ice. See, I mentioned, or we talked a little bit about playing here at home. What advice would you have for, say, a young Aberdeen Cougar player, or somebody that aspires to play juniors and to go on, into college and in other ranks? What would you say are some of the most important things for a young player to do?
I think just doing whatever you can do to separate yourself. I mean, everybody does the stuff on the ice, but I think a lot of it is the stuff you do off the ice, like shooting pucks, stick handling. As you get older, working out. I mean, little things like that is what's going to separate kids. And I mean, that's where I think a lot of us guys here who made it this far is, I mean, a lot of us shot pucks, did all that extra work that kind of separates you at a young age. And I think little things like that gets you into good habits and kind of gives you that professional mindset that'll help you get to the next level.
So a lot of dry land kind of stuff.
Yes,
huh?
A lot of it, yeah.
Okay, good to know. Well, honestly, that's really about all I've got for you, but I appreciate you taking some time. As always, we always appreciate players joining us and kind of getting fans an opportunity to get to know them a little bit, especially, away from the ice in a lot of senses. But great having you, and obviously it's been obvious to me and to many what a great addition that you've been to the Wings, and we're happy to have you here in Aberdeen. Hopefully you're enjoying your time here as well.
No, yeah, for sure. Enjoying every second of it, so I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. All right, well, the Wings are back at the ODI Center this weekend as we host the North Iowa Bulls. On Friday, it's college night. Students with a valid student ID can get $5 tickets at the door. Doors open at 5:30 and the puck hits the ice at 7:15, and $15 bar stool seats are still available inside the Automax party deck. Call Aaron at 605-380-5852 to reserve your spot. On Saturday, doors open once again at 5:30 and the puck drops at 7:15. We are joining in on the Gypsy Day Fun so fans can show their NSU football ticket stub for a $5 ticket at the door. $15 barstool seats again available for Saturday's game. Plus, fans are invited to stick around after the game for the Danger Von Dempsey Skate with the Wings. Tickets are on sale now at tickets.aberdeenwings.com. You can also get $10 general admission tickets at any Sea Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase or at the door on game nights. A few corporate night sponsorships are still available for the 2022-2023 season. Call Aaron again at 605 380-5852 to see what's open. We also wanted to let you know about the 22-23 Wings hockey clinics with assistant coach Zach Stepan. He'll be hosting skill sessions throughout the season right here at the Odie. For more information or to get your youth skater registered, visit AberdeenWings.com. Don't forget, you can listen to Wings Weekly on the go via our podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit AberdeenWings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Once again, Landon Parker, East Grand Forks, Minnesota, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.